Right across the board throughout Broadridge, there's been a very large focus around the use of generative AI. Whether it's from a perspective of each individual's ability to do their day-to-day work, right through to solving business problems at the industry level, or even right through to looking at more efficient ways to develop code and get software deployed faster and faster. There's a heavy emphasis on being able to leverage the latest tools to be able to become more and more efficient at getting the job done, but also building tools themselves which are more efficient.
What are the key features of Broadridge's core futures execution platform?
Broadridge acquired Itiviti a few years ago, and Itiviti was born out of two firms, both the Ullink set of software and the Tbricks, previously Orc set of software. So if you think of Ullink, that was mostly workflow, fixed connectivity, order management, middle office allocations, and risk management. Those were the core modules. And they've been used for many years at firms like Bank of America, HSBC, and several others. On the execution side, the technology is what was Orc, is now Tbricks. Low latency, multi-asset execution technology, very much focused around like the prop, low latency systematic space. A large amount of focus and emphasis is around latency, is around the sophisticated end of the spectrum.
How does Broadridge stay ahead of the trends in the futures execution space?
From the time I left my previous employer, there's been an interest in having another large player who's focused in the global agency futures and options space. And one of the things which Broadridge brings to the party is scale. A very large $25 billion company with huge resources is able to lend itself to a quite significant challenge. When I first arrived at what was Itiviti, which is now BTCS, Broadridge Trading and Connectivity Solutions, really the interest was around the new guy on the block. How would we shape ourselves in the interest of the firms that we targeted? And these are primarily tier 1 and tier 2 FCMs, non-bank and non-bank FCMs. So your JP Morgans, Bank of America's, Citibanks, and right down through your tier 2s and your non-bank FCMs. This time around, what's interesting and different is instead of trying to build another monolith, or what we are doing, and in tandem with our big initial partner clients, is working in tandem, in partnership with other preferred vendors, partners in this space. We did a public announcement that we're partnering with TNS on the global infrastructure side. So they bring to the party massive low latency networks, co-location facilities around the world. But we're working with the established incumbent execution vendors, many of which are behind me right now. They're well liked, and the benefit of being able to work with different partners is we're all able to innovate, we're all able to create a much more healthy ecosystem. By working together, we're also able to build a platform which has built-in resiliency. So instead of just one set of gateways to get to the CME, you could potentially have 2 or even 3 ways of getting to the same exchange.
How has Broadridge adjusted to short-dated derivatives?
The shorter dated derivatives is constantly about being able to scale, being able to handle more and more instruments, more and more data. So it's essential that you have the right technology you're building from the ground up in a way where the thing will scale infinitely. So all of our technology is being built with that in mind. So it's infinitely scalable. You can add more servers, you can add more infrastructure, more hardware. There are no limitations in terms of the software. It's purely about just potentially adding more and more infrastructure to solve a problem.
What trends do you see in futures execution?
A lot of focus around resiliency. So, firms are very focused on being able to be available in any scenario, whether it's just an exchange outage right through to a major cyber attack. So, I think firms are very focused on choosing the right partners and making sure that those partners behave responsibly with respect to resolving their responsibilities, but also working with their partners. I think there's a very large emphasis around improving, having a much more stable, much more reliable platform in the first way. but also just being part of a much more healthy ecosystem. So working with your partners, rather than having a direction of travel where you're entirely dependent on one large vendor. Being able to have more choice, being able to direct your efforts towards one or multiple partners, and expecting those partners to be able to behave and act responsibly to solve your industry problems. So, in a word, I think that the time is right for a more healthy environment when it comes to vendors, fewer large vendors that work independently from one another, to a much healthier environment where the partners actually get in front of the problems and resolve issues before they even become issues.
What is the Broadridge brand after all your acquisitions?
Well, I mean, it's a very large company, so Broadridge, encompasses a lot of different elements. So whether it's the corporate communications, which is a huge part of what Broadridge does, right through to banking and settlement systems, back office systems, and with the acquisition of Itiviti, now we're a big major player in the front office as well. So I would just see it as a very large fintech firm, which is extensive, and it extends into most of the major parts of a financial institution, whether it's communications, whether it's asset management, whether it's investment banking, whether it's execution, clearing, settlement. It's a large partner that's well liked and capable of delivering on scale.